Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and investment wisdom collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, a showcase where wealth strategies and investment wisdom collide. I am a rookie.
Are you ready?
Let's do this again. Okay, here we go.
Hi, take two.
Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, a showcase of wealth strategies and investment wisdom collide. I am your host, a stammering Bart Zandbergen, and I have with me my partner, Letitia Berbaum.
Hello.
And as always, our engineer and...
Saving the day,
Paul.
Yes.
All right, so we had so much fun, and we've been having so much fun and such good reaction to our shows on what keeps you up at night. We are going to, again, continue that theme and bring in a couple more examples. And we are even going to include both Letitia and myself and what keeps us up at night.
Wow, okay. We're going to get vulnerable now here. We're going to tell the truth here.
Yeah. So, however, before we get to the truth and vulnerability, I did want to lead with another example. As I told you, I went on a quest, and I've been talking to some of my clients and friends and asking them that same question: what keeps you up at night?
Had you ever asked that before? I'm just curious. Till you started this show, and we kind of were coming up with clever takeaways to get people to reveal who they are and what's really going on in their head, and you came up with this idea, which I thought was a good one. Had you, in all the years, ever had these kinds of interests or questions, or is that something? Because I don't think most people would ever think to ask that of their clients, quite frankly.
So in different words, as we goals, objectives,
clearly,
but not in such a pointed fashion, I think, and I think the question itself is very, very...
It made me stop and think, and I wonder if it makes them stop and think as well.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple people have said, and this gentleman as well has said, you know what? Let me get back to you, because that is a great question, and I want to come back with a really good answer. Yeah,
you can give a flip answer. You can say my kids or something or whatever. But I think we all have some little deep, dark fears or secrets that we don't talk about too often to our friends. Certainly guys, we're supposed to be big and tough, and if you're successful, you have all the answers. But there are questions we're all facing.
Yeah. So this particular, just to kind of set the scene, this is someone who was able to retire relatively early from a liquidation event. And so his first response was sugar is what keeps him.
Okay.
He now has a...
Now, what's sugar?
So
sugar high.
Now he has like an ice cream and cookie dessert habit.
Okay.
Literally sugar.
Sugar. Yeah. So he literally, what keeps you up at night? Well, literally, I eat ice cream and cookies before I go to bed, and about 4 hours later, I have my sugar.
Not a good idea.
So funny, that person's so fit.
Yeah.
You would never know.
But the second part, so that's the true answer, but a little more literal. But the other part was he spends time feeling guilty, might be a little bit of a strong word, but uncomfortable with the fact that, hey, should I feel bad that I can go mountain biking today?
Yeah.
Or that I can golf today?
Right.
Because he'd mentioned, and how true is this? And for us, true as well. We've been working or in school since we're since we're 5 and working since we're 15, 16, or 17.
Yeah.
And he said, my entire life I've been told, you go to school, and then you go to college, and then you get a job, and then you work your job, and you work your job, and maybe another job. And now he doesn't have any of that. So there's a level of guilt or just concern that, hey, is it okay for me to do this? So he's checking in with himself to see if, hey, is it okay that I can do this?
Interesting.
Financially, he can, and he gives money.
But a little voice in the back of his head says, you shouldn't be doing this. Maybe you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. They give to charities, they give to their family, and there's no financial worries, but still it's a concern.
Well, because you want to be productive. And in particular, I'm sure he's a very successful person. He was driven to success. I hear that a lot in here of people my age and older who don't know how to stop. They thought they were working towards an exit. They were thrilled when they got the liquidation, and now they don't know what to do. They feel uncomfortable. The things they thought would bring them joy, they go around the world once and they say, great, now what am I going to do? They go play golf for 3 months. Now what am I going to do? It doesn't give them the long, everlasting happiness they thought it would.
We talk about that a lot. I know we've talked about it a lot, even in our show. We talk about it a lot because the reality is a lot of times you can take this in a lot of different ways. But even when you you work really hard to reach your goals, and those goals for every person could be completely different. But you reach those goals, and you're ready to have phase 2. Well, what does that look like?
Yeah.
How do you redefine phase
Now
2?
what?
Now what?
Yeah.
And you can see we've had a lot of people over the time that we've been in here and how they have experienced that phase 2 and reinventing themselves or giving back. And, and someone may have said, like, earning the money is one thing, but once you have it, you have the tools. So you have the tools to either, continue to help growing and providing for other people, giving back, and how you're going to, what you're going to do in that phase 2.
It would seem to be easy. We all groan and say, oh, gee, I wish I had that problem. But I hear that over and over again. I don't know what to do because I've been so focused on one thing for so long, I don't know how to transition into something else.
Especially if you've been an owner or a CEO and your ego is wrapped behind it, or if you were an athlete and you have been a superstar. Well, You'll still be a superstar, but the reality is on a day-to-day, you're just another person going and doing shopping or going mountain bike riding.
It's kind of the Michael Jordan story. He couldn't quit, and he kept coming back. He tried baseball, and then he had to come back again. It's hard to put it down. I'm sure it is.
And look at rock stars. How many retirement tours or final tours have we seen for some
Oh
of
my
these?
goodness.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But there's two things that makes me think of. One of the previous answers to a gentleman who actually is still working, very, very wealthy, but what keeps him up at night is the kill. What is he going to do next?
Yeah, right.
And I think just some not everybody, but some people are wired that way to
thrill
always
of the
need
chase.
to be,
Yeah. That'll be me.
But
99, and you're like, okay.
I'm still going. Any project.
We had a guy in here earlier, just real quickly, when we first started several years ago, and he was literally like, I want to say 98 or 99. He's still running the company that he created. He still could. And he said, I'll be back in like 2 years or something when I turn 100, and I'll tell you what that's like. He had no intention of ever stopping because it brought him such joy.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong
with
that.
That's a good takeaway. Absolutely.
Yeah. But this is related, but a little bit indirect. And I had this discussion with a group of clients that retired at the same time because of a sale of a company. But there's a book called Halftime. Now it has a spiritual undertone, but the takeaway from the book is, okay, this is what you've done the first half of your life. What now are you going to do the second half? Now, it doesn't mean you've necessarily retired. I mean, what's halftime? 45, 50, you could say 30. So in that time frame, whether you're working or not, what is the second half going to look like, and what do you want it to look like? It was very introspective. I read the book a few times. It causes you to be introspective.
I'll give you another suggestion.
Important.
Tune in Wednesdays. We have a show called The Next Chapter, a semi-retired, very successful CEO business coach. And it's his quest, along with his friends, coming in and kind of figuring out what is the next chapter, particularly for us aging baby boomers, this bonus round we've been given. We used to retire at 65 and die at 70. Now, many of us will die in our 90s or 100 or something. What are you going to do with that extra time?
Yeah.
So true.
All right. I think it might be time for some vulnerability. This is going to start.
All right. And he points at her. You start.
No one says anything.
Let's be vulnerable. You start.
You go first.
And we'll see how it goes, if I like the way this feels or not.
I'm running out of here.
I know. I'm out.
Okay. Letitia, are you a vulnerable person? Do you easily open up and share about your inner fears? And you seem to be a driven, successful person. Do you instantly say, I'm scared?
I don't like to share all my details. It definitely makes me vulnerable. But for some reason on air, I have no problem doing it with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's part of my next step in my life is actually sharing what my personal story is and what I've been doing in my life to be where I'm at. So I want to share because then I can continue to grow and learn from that, and then I can also give back and have other people coach them along the way too. So
all right,
yeah,
we're eagerly awaiting.
I'm
what
ready.
Keeps you up at night?
Okay, so I would say one thing that makes me nervous as a parent. The one thing I get nervous about and I think about in regards to money and your finances, I worry that my children growing up in Orange County and having maybe a very different experience that I experienced as a child. And my childhood, I didn't have, my parents weren't as financially fortunate, or, they started younger, collaborative of different things. But I worry that maybe they'll be spoiled, and maybe they'll be, maybe disrespectful, or just not appreciative. And there's things that, definitely my husband and I will do to make sure that our children have basic concepts of money, but I just don't know if they'll have the same experiences. So what I have to do is create those experiences and try to take them to different shelters and have them earn money. And then from that allowance, I make them go buy gifts, and then we take that and give that away to other children that might not have it, and let them experience that there's other people out there that might not have the things that they have, and to be able to give away.
Good for you.
So my parents did that for me as a child, and I had a lot of exposure to giving.
And I can tell you, your fear is not unfounded. I grew up in affluent suburbia. My father was an executive for a car company, and he grew up in the midst of the Depression, never went to college or anything, and he always was upset that I didn't value things the way he did.
Yeah.
He had nothing, and we had everything. And it in a weird way, I saw many of my friends do drugs and die and other crazy, just because it didn't mean anything. It was too easy. Everything was around. And it took me a while to sort of get over that affluent, laissez-faire, who cares,
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because when I first say this, you're going to not think it makes any sense. But
okay.
I think some of our listeners and most of my friends and family know that we my wife and daughter spend the summers in Tahiti. And so the first thought is, wow, Tahiti, that's very opulent.
Exotic,
and so yeah. So, however, where we stay is in an island that's very, it's not third world, but it's not
where the resorts are. Yeah,
it's not resorts. It's houses. It's shacks. It's where locals live.
Right.
Yeah.
And part of the goal here with both my wife and I, for the same reasons, is we're now bringing up a 3-year-old in Orange County, and there's enough influence. I'm so much older and so much in my career now that we can provide that kind of thing. But when we go there and they spend the summer there, she sees the other. We live like them. She sees what it's
Good.
like, and I think it gives her a better perspective of what life is like in full circle.
My dad, when I graduated from high school, maybe I told this story before. I was a month after I graduated, and he said, "So you've picked your college? Yes, I'm going to University of Michigan." He said, "How are you going to pay for it?" And I said, I literally laughed. I said, Dad, look around. We're doing good. What do you mean, how am I going to pay for it? I don't have any money. And he said, well, I never went to college, and I don't think it'll mean the same if I just pay for it. I can, but I won't. And so we got in a big fight, and he said, I'll pay half, but you got to figure out a way to make half. And I was like, half? How am I going to pay for half of college, Dad? And my friends were looking like this was the worst. Oh, my God, what an evil guy he was. And he said, the only thing he did is he said, I got your job working down in the factory, because that'll pay enough. And I'm living out in, lily white suburbia. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, there are people that don't look like me down there. This is a scary neighborhood. I've never been down there. I'm going to go down into the inner city. He said, yes. He said, that's where I started, and I think you should see it. I hated him for it, but it was the greatest thing he ever did to me. I did that for like 4 summers in a row, and I was the only one of my friends that worked. Everybody else just got, their parents just paid for it. And it changed everything. So having been forced to do that, it's a good thing.
I'm a strong believer of that.
Yeah.
I did that as a child, like my first car. My parents could have purchased it for me, but instead they made me pay half. And because of that, I had so much value and appreciation for it, and I took care of it, and I had to put gas in it and pay for insurance. Like those things taught me to, skills that they might not share at schools, like paying my bills on time, right?
Yeah.
Earning enough money so I could do it. I have enough money to have gas in my car to go drive around with my friends. Those things taught me so much about responsibility and money management at such a young age, and I didn't even realize that I was applying these values that my husband and I both agree, like our children, they're going to have to do those things just so they have hopefully appreciation.
You probably know more than I do about this, but I've read that Bill Gates has literally told his kids, I don't know how many he has or whatever. You're not getting all this.
Right.
I don't know how much you're going to get, but you're not getting all this. This is set aside for something else here. So don't start thinking I'm not going to leave you penniless. You're going to get, I don't know, millions, but you're not going to get billions. Right.
Yeah.
Paul, I've heard someone start the story like you, where the child would say, "Hey, we're doing good," and the parent says, "Well, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
You're not doing so good. You're
Yeah.
going to work for it."
Yeah.
So
Well, and it can
true.
change your view of things. Things came so easily. I'm not saying I'm an only child, so I guess I was a little spoiled, but I really don't think I was that materialistic. And I think part of it was because things didn't mean anything. We had stuff. I wasn't without. I didn't
Right.
desire. Not that I was given everything. I don't think I was, but because that wasn't their nature, but I didn't really think of much. And I remember being as a kid, my parents tried to train me by giving me an allowance, $1 or whatever it was back then, 50 cents or something. And I would forget to go. I'd do the work, but I'd forget to go ask it. Money didn't mean anything. It wasn't, okay, what am I going to do with these 2 coins here or something? I already have everything I need. Yeah, it was weird. I mean, so there I'm getting vulnerable here.
Yeah.
But I think
So
that's
true.
a really, really good point you're both bringing up here, really.
Yeah. I think my second thing that keeps me up at night is staying stagnant.
Now, that I wouldn't have thought of, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to just stay. We had somebody in the other day. He was an older retired gentleman. He said, "I hate this idea that everything's got to be growing." He said, "I'm grown.
No more growing.
No more growing. I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm like a tree." He said, "I'm like a tree. I've grown." And I thought, okay, well, I've never heard that before.
Not that I have to completely change, but I just want to make sure that I'm reading new things or learning new things and enhancing and exploring. I just don't want to become stagnant in my life.
I think that's how baby boomers in general are going to change retirement, whatever it is. It's more
Yeah.
rewiring and not completely retire. I don't think we're just going to one day stop like my dad did and play golf.
That sounds terrible to me. Like, I want to create this lifestyle. Later on in retirement, maybe I'm very young, so that's completely different. But I want to be able to incorporate continuing to serve or give.
Do most of
later
your
on.
clients just stop? I suppose it depends on. And do you see an age difference? Those older baby boomers, is that what they've been? Hugging or chugging and huffing and puffing to get to the finish line. If you lay it down, I'm stopped. When my aunt stopped working at 65, she was just thrilled. I mean, she lived to be 95. She never, and she loved her job, but she never once, that was in her generation, the World War II generation, that's what you did. You worked your whole life so you could stop. And I just looked at her like, even if I could, I don't know that I would.
I've seen it all.
Yeah, we have both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you? You obviously don't want to be the ones that just stop, and because it does seem like you sort of atrophy or something. You're just going to sit home and play mahjong or something, or watch TV.
I don't know. Yeah, no, definitely not that for me.
Letitia's not a TV person.
Not a TV
I
person?
don't watch TV, no.
Do you have a TV?
I do. I have TV,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought maybe you're one of these new generation that cut the cord and don't have anything here.
I don't have cable, though.
You don't have cable?
I don't have cable.
She's just like my daughter. How do you not?
It's that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. She doesn't have cable. She's like, cable? What do I want cable? She has Netflix or something, or Hulu or something here.
Yeah.
All right. So it's that fear of not finding worth or value somehow, of just stopping. That doesn't sound appealing to your generation.
Yeah, I would say the value. No, I just don't want to stay stagnant. I want to continue to grow and develop.
You want to keep moving.
Yeah, not
Can't
just
hit a moving
physically moving, but I want to keep on developing in my life, no matter in one way. If that's
So what does
where I'm
Bart
at.
do when he's 90? Assuming you're in good health. That's always the thing.
Yeah.
What's Bart do at 90, 85?
live on a vineyard.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, so the question is what keeps you up at night. So it could be, I mean, for me, I'm thinking about things today, right?
Right.
And so the first thing for me is, and I am going to answer what Bart at age 90 looks
Okay.
like. But before I get there, Letitia and I take care of a lot of people and a lot of money.
Yeah.
So not that I'm worried that things are going to go terrible, but because I'm a little bit OCD, we both are, and we were both very caring in what we do. So I concerned about my clients. We have
Yes.
clients that call us every day with issues, and so that kind of weighs on me. And then just
Agreed.
overall, just market and investing. So that's a weight.
And
that
let
we
me ask,
carry.
and you don't maybe have to answer this because your clients maybe don't want to hear this, but I hear more and more people coming in saying something has changed. Are we entering a new era of uncertainty? Certainly politically, we seem to be in a chaotic, whether you're left or right, we're a tribalized, angry thing. The world is changing. Our position in the world is changing. The economy's changed. Somebody was in earlier saying, literally 30% of the jobs could be wiped out by AI in the next 20, 30 years or something like that. We're in some sort of really disruptive phase. Does that make you more anxious for the money that you manage or not?
No.
It's all the same.
So are some things different? Yes, of course. There's advancements in technology, but I'm not a subscriber to conspiracy theory, things, and I think some of that is. I'm not calling this particular thing a conspiracy theory, but there's a fear whether or not Social Security is going to be here.
Yeah, right. I hear crazy stuff like that.
I think that's a valid concern. I don't lose sleep over that one, but I think it's a valid concern. So I think there are things that are the same and things that are different. There's fundamentals of compound interest and time and that sort of thing. Has the environment changed? Yeah, we're one. It's a global economy now. It's different than it was 20 years ago.
And does that change the rules? What was it, Jack Vogel or somebody like that said the market's just going to be underperforming for a long time. It could because of all these choppiness and uncertainties or whatnot, and yet it hasn't been over the last couple of years. So
I have to say, in my own personal opinion, is things that maybe our firm has done a long time ago that we're already doing, that the standard wealth advisor or financial advisor is going to have to change what they do, because they can't just go pick funds and get a commission or do these things and then be done. Like technology provides so many tools that so many people have access to research and data that they never had access to before. So they're going to have to be with a team, and they're going to continue to have to grow and develop to be able to be like what we talk about all the time is we are holistic wealth managers. We look at every aspect of our clients' lives, literally where money affects them, we help them, and we want to be their go-to. Like we are their CFO, and they are the family CEOs, and we take care of their wealth in every capacity. And you're going to see more, I think, of that. Now, this is my personal opinion. You're going to see more of that as technology starts to advance. Yeah,
because otherwise, there is a theory that all of you guys are going to go the way of dinosaurs, and we're just going to have robo-advisors, or we're all going to do it ourselves.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's in a matter of opinion. Maybe that's what Bart was saying. There's opinions, but there's still going to be needs that you have to analyze and look and weigh into pros and cons and objectives and tax efficiency and selling businesses and passing on to heirs. There's all these complexities.
Here's two examples, and this is just today. Letitia is dealing with a client that is looking to move into a retirement facility community.
Yeah.
And she's asked Letitia to come with her to look at it and help evaluate. You can't get a robo person to do that.
No.
My previous meeting to come in here was with a recent divorcee, and we'll be helping her with getting people in place as a quote-unquote personal assistant to help take care of things at home, and then a bookkeeper, and integrate that with the
whatever styles.
So there's going to be a portion of the population where robo is going to be fine,
right?
But really not for the clients that Letitia and I have, because.
And I think what you're doing is so smart. I hear other financial advisors come in, and they're kind of looking for what that thing is that will keep them as part of the team, because they used to it was about taking them to golf, taking them to lunch, taking them to dinner, having them like you, and then they'll just give you the money, and they left. My dad rarely asked his financial advisor what was going on, as long as he saw what was happening. Now, with the advent of the internet, the information age, I dare say my dad would be pestering his guy all the time. What about this? What about this? What about this?
Yeah, and they're not just going to ask you about the specific analytics behind a performance of a fund or the complexity of it. You're definitely going to cover that with clients and review meetings, but it's going to go beyond that.
Yeah.
And the advisors that can adapt to that will survive. The ones that can't won't.
And the assumption is that we'll all somehow end up doing all of these things ourselves, just as I had to learn to do more things around the house or other things because the handyman was so expensive, or fix this and do things for myself. I don't want to do those things. And the world is so complex. If it is getting more complex, even though I'm flooded with information, I'm even more confused. So all the more need for people who are going to understand me and advise me.
Yeah, to help sift out the information and help them make good decisions based on their own unique.
So you guys
situation.
are not afraid, because I have had advisors come in and say, "I'm afraid of the future of our craft."
No, bring it on.
No,
bring it on.
Not at all.
Bring it on.
I'm actually talking about this at a global panel of wealth managers.
Yeah,
and people are coming. They're going to try to figure out what does that look like. And we're talking about, these are the ways you can set yourself apart. These are the ways you can really help the clientele out there to really just be
this is what they're looking for. This is the new face of financial
They just haven't
advice.
found Bart and I.
Clearly.
They need to find us.
Clearly. How do they find you?
Well, they can go to our website if they want wealth management. They can always go to our website. Bart, go ahead and give them that.
Optivestinc.com.
And you can fill out information to find us, Bart Zandbergen and Letitia Berbaum. We're always welcome to do that, and we're not usually soliciting, just so everyone knows.
Yeah.
But if you ever wanted to find us, that's one way to do it. And we're always on. You can find our Zandbergen Report, our podcast here, Wealth Strategies and Investment Wisdom, and we're on Facebook and LinkedIn, and we're also on Twitter, Instagram. And my personal one is Letitia Berbaum, and that's Letitia Berbaum, and Bart, yours?
BartZandbergen.
But the most important thing, I know Paul's going to get ready to cut me off. The most important thing is if you like what you hear, you have to like it and share with other people.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, you got to. What I find is this is a breath of fresh air for me, because I do find myself with lots of fears as I get older about finances, about the future. How long am I going to live? What's it going to be like 20, 30 years from now? Are we entering a period of uncertainty and chaos? I think there's a lot of fear out there, and you guys seem to be very calm about it, because I think you've thought through these things, and you have long-range strategic thinking, and you're very, as you said, holistic. You're looking at the whole picture, not just this one thing.
And I just want to say one last disclaimer, just for our compliance team. None of the things that we're talking about today is we're giving you specific...
It's not financial advice, right?
Yeah, specific recommendations. It's just general concepts, and every single person has their own unique situation, and that we're able to help them with. So that's why we say if you have specific questions, ask us and we can help you.
It's an approach that you guys have perfected and taken to new levels here, and I appreciate all the different aspects of it. And the fact that you're always telling people, hey, enjoy it along the way here. It's not just all save it for tomorrow here, because tomorrow is never promised to anybody here.
So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We look forward to being back in the studio next week. Cheers.
Thank you.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting bartzandbergen.podbean.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show, or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. Bart A. Zandbergen, CFP, and Letitia Berbaum, AIF, are registered investment advisors with Optivest Inc. and registered representatives with Gramercy Securities Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered by Optivest Inc. under SEC registration.